call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan?
Jim? Yep.
Looks like he's there, but I'm not sure if he can hear us because I can't hear him.
Okay. Jim, can you hear us?
Hello?
Jim? Commissioner Jordan, can you hear us? Jim, you might have to unmute. Is he muted? Oh, huh.
You may want to try *6, Jim. I don't know if he's dialing in or not, but.
We lost him. He may be calling in instead.
He might call in, yeah.
Okay.
Should I move on?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move forward, and we can add Commissioner Jordan if he's able to join us.
Okay. Commissioner Paul?
Here.
And Commissioner Renner?
Here, thank you very much. And at this point, we want to move to the consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda, and one is a set of minutes from the November 20th Special Liquor Commission meeting, November 20th, 2020, and from the December 8th, 2020 regular Liquor Commission meeting. And Commissioner Powell, since you're the only one online, do you have any concerns, questions, amendments to these minutes?
No concerns or questions from me. I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. I second that motion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
Commissioner Renner?
Yes. Thank you very much. So the minutes will stand as presented. Under the regular agenda, item 5A, we have a public hearing on a request for the change of ownership application at 2401 East
Excuse
Oakland.
me, Mayor.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
We need to have something on the record as to what happened for public comment, and also.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's nobody on, as I understood it. I didn't ask formally. I'm sorry.
I'd like that on the record as to what the status of that is, and then also, if we're going to actually have a creation of, well, this is essentially the same as a creation of a license hearing, may I suggest that we just give Mr. Jordan perhaps another minute to join us so that he's not joining partway through a hearing. That would make matters.
At this point, just to clarify, is anyone here to comment on things that are not on the agenda?
No, we didn't have anyone registered to speak live, and we didn't receive any emailed public comments.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much. But at this
I
point,
could take a moment to call Commissioner Jordan briefly on his cell and see if he's attempting to join us. Or...
one of the things that we can do also, since I think we can jump ahead to the fines, since if I'm not mistaken, those are things that you're just going to let us know we have settlements on. Is that correct, Mr. Boyle?
That's correct. That would take care of parts of this.
Yeah. What do we go ahead and do that?
In the nature of announcements.
Right. We will come back to 5A. Okay. So we're going to go on to 5B, and that's the Knights of Columbus. Mr. Boyle, you have some updates for us.
That's correct. Yes. The Knights of Columbus have settled the case alleging a single violation of the executive orders prohibiting indoor dining by payment of a fine of $400.
Okay.
And an admission to a violation of the executive orders.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Powell?
No questions from me.
Okay. So it seems that we don't have any particular need for a public hearing since this is already settled. Thank you, Mr. Boyle. If you want to go on to the next one, item C.
Sure.
Which
Similarly,
is a Fiesta Ranchera. Was there a settlement there, as I understand?
Yes, Fiesta Ranchera of Bloomington, number 3, over at 1500 East Empire, admitted to a single violation of the executive orders prohibiting indoor dining and settled with a payment of a fine to the city, $400.
Okay. Commissioner Powell, do you have any questions of Mr. Boyle?
No questions.
Okay. I think we have Jim on the line. Jim, are you there? Oh, connecting to audio. All right. So with respect to this, then, Fiesta Ranchero is taken care of, correct, Mr. Boyle, just for the record?
That's correct.
Okay. While Jim is still trying, we can go to the next one. Do we have a settlement on Crawford's Pub?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Crawford's Pub has admitted to two violations that were alleged in the citation and complaint issued to the establishment, two violations of the executive orders prohibiting indoor dining, and is settled for a payment of a fine of $800 to the city.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I
Anything
don't
else we
know
need to do
if-
there? I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
I just wondered, is there anything else we need to do with that other than
I
announce?
don't know if, I think Mr. Crawford may be on the line from Crawford's Pub.
I think
Perhaps
he is, yes. Mr. Crawford
Mr.
is.
Canchola. I don't know if they would want to make any statements. They don't need to, but
Okay.
I just thought I would, if they are present and they want, to make some statement, then I think we should allow them
Mr. Crawford
to.
is, and again, Mr. Crawford, can you hear us? If you'd like to make a statement, if you unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Again,
there you
it's
go.
not required for you to make a statement, but you're certainly welcome to do so.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just have a few questions, I guess. I know you guys have heard everything from every other owner in town, so I'm late to the party on that. But so I received a email today from our gaming company saying they're going to allow gaming once we move to Tier 2, which supposedly our region is supposed to do that on Friday, if I'm correct. And they kind of gave a little bit of an idea how they're going to go ahead and get that started, which is fine. That's great. But at some point, is this really about safety anymore? I mean, we're allowing people to come back into our establishment to gamble so the state can make money, but we are being asked not to allow people in so we can't make money. I guess I'm confused by that.
I don't think that those,
Can I-
Mr. Boyle, I think if you could clarify Mr. Crawford's question, I don't think that
Sure.
would be the case, as I
I
understand
think
it with Tier 2.
with a couple of things, there's a couple of things with respect to that. First of all, with respect to it being regarding safety, it's worth noting that there were 250,000 additional cases of COVID-19 in the United States today, and that 3,000 more deaths were recorded today. So there may be a safety issue, I think, that would be noteworthy and a pandemic that's ongoing. The executive orders that have been renewed provide, it looks like we'll be going to Tier 2. But Tier 2 will still prohibit indoor dining. As to the video gaming aspect, I'm not conversant with it. I can check into that, and we have no problem with discussing that with
Yeah,
you.
it would be odd
What
to
I
just
would,
have it.
what I would suggest, excuse me?
I was saying, Mr. Boyle, it would seem to me to be rather odd to have a situation where you allow people to go into video gaming, but not to eat.
I mean, I got the email this morning
And
from
that's what they
Midwest
said?
Electronics.
Oh, but not from the state necessarily. That's their
no,
interpretation of it.
And it also suggests that this is off the subject of the violations we had discussed.
Of course,
So
that's true.
if you want to
Yeah.
discuss this later on, Mr. Crawford, I think I'd feel fine with that. And
Okay,
we
that's
can
true.
make sure that
Thank
the
you, Mr.
legal
Boyle. That's
department
true.
gets back to you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Crawford, you'd like to say with respect to the complaint at hand?
I know you probably don't have this answer, but what is our end game with this? Does anybody have an idea? I mean, we're 10 months into this, and listen, I don't want to be the guy that breaks the rule. Nobody wants to break the rules. But at the end of the day, I have a banker who calls me every month for a mortgage payment. And without people sitting in my establishment, I can't make that payment. So I guess what is the end game?
Again, we can talk about this in greater detail, but I think I could probably speak for every mayor I've spoken to that has been involved in these kinds of things. And that is, we would like to have our establishments open, even if it's 25% capacity or something, just to get people in and to try to, even if we have to go and lean toward the side of caution, obviously on vacancies. But I don't think the end game would be some degree of safety, some degree of progress in terms of the rates of COVID. There is no special book, Mr. Crawford, or best practices on a pandemic. This is one of the problems I think that we're all facing. I wish I could answer that. I don't know. I can't speak for the governor or what he's thinking, or Illinois Department of Public Health. But
right.
Mr. Boyle, you want to add anything to that before we move
Well,
on?
I just wanted to suggest that we move on. We had an applicant that we skipped over, and perhaps we'd want to do that unless
Correct.
at this point.
Well, if you have anything else to say about this particular thing right now, Mr. Crawford, we're going to go ahead and move back to the creation. And we hope to have more information for you as it becomes available. Again, for that, I wish I had more. Thank you. Okay, at this point, we're going to move back to the change of ownership application at 2401 East Oakland, PSM Shell. And Mr. Boyle, do you want to go ahead and start with this? We're going to, before we formally open the public hearing.
Sure. This is a change of ownership. It's governed by Chapter 6, Section 2 of the Bloomington City Code. And with regard to that, it's a 100% change in ownership, it's my understanding. And the applicant, the purchaser, is represented by Richard Marvel,
And
the attorney.
Mr. Marvel is
and
online
I
here as
believe
well.
he's on with us.
He is, yes.
So with that, I give it over to him for his
We
presentation
just want
and for his being sworn in.
Okay, well, before I just want to, the first thing I need to do is
Oh, go ahead.
formally open the public hearing. I was just asking you for some remarks on this, because one of the things I wanted to clarify, we would not normally need a public hearing for just a change of ownership if it were comparatively small, but in a sense, this is a 100% change in ownership, and that's why we're having this public hearing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So I'm going to go ahead and call the public hearing to order. One of the things that I want to ask is obviously Mr. Marble is here representing the petitioners. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak either for or against this? If you could please raise your hand or signify to the clerk. Other than Mr. Marble. Do I see anybody? Okay. They're on, but we don't necessarily know that we need them to speak or they're asking to speak. I'm assuming they're speaking. Okay, so they're there in case we need them. Okay, just so you did you hear that, Mr. Boyle?
No.
Madam Clerk, would you repeat that? We have the previous owner and presumably the new owner online if we need to question them.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But as I understand, I'm guessing that since Mr. Marvel is on, that he's the main one that we need to swear in. And we have nobody here to speak against this.
That's correct. Anyone who is going to be testifying with respect to any facts needs to be sworn in.
Right, of course.
And
Yeah, okay. Madam Clerk, would you please swear in Mr. Marvel, and I'll let him explain the situation. Mr. Marvel?
Mr. Marvel, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marvel. You want to go ahead and just briefly summarize the situation that's in front of us?
Yeah, I appreciate the commission's opportunity this afternoon. I love these Zoom hearings. I guess we're all getting a little bit used to them, but this is a relatively straightforward, for me, this is a relatively straightforward application for once, I guess, at this point. So this is for the location at 2401 East Oakland Avenue. It's for the transaction, or for the total transaction includes the business, which is owned by a limited liability company, sale to another limited liability company. And then it also includes the underlying real estate, which comprises of the entire gas station there. And that's owned by Mr. and Mrs. Mehta, M-E-H-T-A. There's a single contract. My buyer has another location, Shell station in Sandwich, Illinois, that he's been operating with a full license without any incidents. And he has a manager set up and ready to go as soon as everything is approved. He does not have a local manager right now. He has a manager hired, and that manager is going to move to Bloomington before the closing and before the liquor license would be issued to manage the entity. This is someone that he has some experience with. It's anticipated that the operation of the entity is going to continue to remain the same, consistent with what it always has been. I don't believe that there's any intended operational changes here. The business is going to employ 2 to 3 employees, and otherwise it's a relatively clean transaction. I do want to note 2 minor modifications to the liquor application, because I was not, I didn't prepare the liquor application. I kind of got in at the end to assist. So I wanted it to be noted that my client, the principal, Byron, owns the owns a Shell station in Sandwich, Illinois, and he operates as a liquor license, and he has an existing liquor license in Sandwich, Illinois. The liquor application indicates that he doesn't. I think that there was some confusion regarding whether or not that was in Bloomington and the surrounding communities or not. But I wanted the commission to know that as well.
So just for the record, he does have an existing license in Sandwich, Illinois, and has a clean record, has not had any violations. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And he will undergo the necessary Bassett training for his management staff associated with sales.
You're preempting our questions, Mr. Marvel.
Trying to stay ahead. I know everybody's time is precious.
Thanks.
And also the application does reference that he doesn't have a local manager. He's not local, but the entire intent, and we're fine with the condition that before he issues the license that he can move down there. I know, Mayor, that we've talked about this before, but at this point he is going to purchase so long that everything moves accordingly here, and his manager will move down to Bloomington.
Great.
So he understands it. I'm sorry.
Nope. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rich. We'll just ask questions afterwards.
No. And then I was going to say, we have a new liquor license process. So we've submitted all of the documentation. I would just like that to make sure that it's in the record. We've provided the financials. He's adequately capitalized in order to maintain and manage this type of a restaurant. He's looking forward to doing business here in the community. He feels that this is going to be a great location. I'm familiar with this Oakland Avenue and the amount of traffic, and I feel that it's a good use of this space in order to continue to operate as a gas station with packaged food.
Just let the record, I think, Mr. Marvel, you didn't mean to say restaurant earlier. So establishment. Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Marvel?
I'm willing to answer any and all questions, but I don't believe so unless there's something specific that
Okay.
I'd like to hear.
Well, I think we have Mr. Commissioner Jordan on. If you could, Jim, if you can hear us, if you do *6, we can hear you. That would unmute you if you did *6, Jim. Oh, it's a call. I'm sorry. So he's on a computer. Oh, yeah, of course. Gotcha. I'm going to start with Commissioner Powell. Any questions, concerns, Commissioner Powell?
Mr. Marvel covered all of my questions. Bassett trained, so that sounds like he's got all of his bases covered. I can't think of any questions right now.
Okay, thanks. Hey, well, Mr. Marvel, it's not like you're a stranger to us. So, Jim, are you there?
Yeah, I finally made it.
There you go. Actually, perfect time. Do you have any questions of Mr. Marvel on the application at 2401 East Oakland, the PSM Shell? It's a 100% owner change, and Mr. Marvel has indicated that the incoming owner has an existing liquor license in Sandwich, Illinois, has no issues or problems there. And let's see, there'd be no change in the operations. There'll be people who will be Bassett trained. We've covered that. And there is still the issue we would probably want to make as a condition, if this is something that we decide is favorable, that he has to have a local manager. The local manager is in the process of moving to Bloomington. And if I understand Mr. Marvel correctly, he would be here before this licensee began to operate the establishment. Is that correct, Mr. Marvel?
Yes.
Okay. Jim, do you have any other questions about that?
No, I mean, I know it's an existing establishment and it's just a change of ownership, and basically they're just waiting to get the new person in place, right?
Right. I think you've summed it up.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Boyle?
Well, a couple things. Rich, you were alluding to it sounds like one LLC that's owning another. Is that correct? It's kind of interlocking in that respect?
Well, no, it's interlocking to the extent at the moment that the business is owned by an entity and the real estate presently is owned by an entity. And my client, through one entity, is acquiring both the real estate and the business.
I see. Okay, good. And with respect to Sandwich, is that the only licensed business with respect to alcohol that your client has?
That is correct.
Okay, and what's his name?
Viren Naya.
Okay. And with regards to that Bassett issue, I guess you had talked about the management staff being trained, and I just wanted to point out that the state law requires that everyone who pours or well, in this case it won't be pouring, but anyone who serves needs to be Bassett trained.
Yeah, that's my understanding, George, and anymore, that's basically my blanket recommendation and requirement for all of the folks that I represent. So it's anticipated that he'll have 2 to 3 employees, and they will obtain the necessary Bassett training to the extent that they will be selling alcohol.
Okay. How long has he had the establishment in Sandwich?
That I'm not entirely sure. I think it's been a few years.
Right.
Anything else, Mr. Boyle?
If we could swear him in, perhaps we could find out just the amount of experience. Might be useful for the record.
Okay, all right, we could do that.
I'm assuming your client's on, is that correct?
He is, he's right here.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead,
Byron is on.
Byron?
Byron, if
are
you can
there?
unmute.
You need to unmute.
Okay.
Right, thank you, go ahead.
Hi,
Madam Clerk, would you please swear
hi
in?
everyone.
Hello, thank you.
Hello.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear firm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I think we have one question, and maybe there might be more, but one of the reasons why we've asked you to speak, how long have you owned and operated the establishment with the liquor license in Sandwich, Illinois?
The Sandwich, Illinois. Yeah, I took over in 2019.
Oh, I see, okay, and since 2019, you have not had any violations, that's correct, right?
No,
Okay.
no violation.
Mr. Boyle or the liquor commissioners?
No. Had you had any liquor establishments prior to that time, sir?
No.
Okay. Nothing further.
Okay, commissioners, Commissioner Powell or Jordan, any questions?
No questions from me.
Jim?
No questions from me either.
Okay, all right. I think at this point, I think we can conclude the public hearing. And at this point, do we have a motion? And I would assume the motion to approve would be contingent upon the Bassett training requirements, which of course are required by ordinance and law, and establishing a local contact, which we would have to have anyway. But is there a motion to that effect then?
I motion to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Powell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion on this? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes.
Commissioner Renner?
Yes. Okay, at this point, then we move to a complaint on Mickey's Kitchen, which is item 5E. Mr. Boyle, do you have any updates on this?
Briefly, there has been some tax issues that we feel have been resolved. And at this point, we ask to continue it for an additional month, where we're either going to come back with a recommendation as to fines or sanctions, or perhaps, a recommendation as to what next steps may be.
So you'd like us to postpone this till the next regularly scheduled Liquor Commission meeting, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Does everybody, Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Jordan, or any questions about the update by Mr. Boyle?
No questions.
Is there a
No.
motion? I'm sorry, Jim?
No, I have none.
Okay. Is there a motion to agree to postpone this consideration of Mickey's Kitchen until the next regularly scheduled Liquor Commission?
I'll make the motion. We postpone this until the next scheduled meeting for the Liquor Commission.
My second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes.
Commissioner Renner?
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. That'll be carried over. And then under old business, Mr. Boyle, you have some updates for us, as I understand.
Well, just very briefly, just emphasizing that the Tier 2 mitigations, at least as they're constituted at this point, if we go into Tier 2, which there's indications from the Health Department statistics we are likely to do, indoor dining at this point is still prohibited, and the clerk's office will be sending out to liquor licensees an update in that regard. The update will also talk about potential business grants that are available to licensees and other small businesses in Bloomington. And the legal department is available to answer any questions or address concerns that licensees or members of the public may have.
Okay. Well, just also for the record, and since Mr. Crawford is still online, one of the things that we did have a program established this summer for grants of up to $4,500 for small businesses. And that has been, we have another wave of those. You can certainly reapply. And if people have had violations, that might be a factor. But I would certainly encourage people to reapply. Obviously, at $4,500, that's only going to go so far. We hope as much as possible that we can make some progress in this dissemination, of the vaccine. And I wish we had more positive news right now from the state in terms of letting us operate even at 25% capacity, as I understand some communities are pushing for. Certainly we are. We've advocated for it, but we have yet to hear from the state, mainly the governor's office, on that issue. Anything else, Mr. Boyle?
No, I would just echo what you were saying with respect to the grants being available. However, we'd note that if the establishment is seeking a COVID-19 business relief grant from the city, a failure to comply with the state's rules can be cause for denial or termination of the assistance. So those are the things that will be going out in a mailing to the licensees in order to keep them up to date with the situation as we go into phase 2.
When will that go out, Mr. Boyle? That letter?
We're expecting it will go out tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, so then they should
Perhaps
receive
this
it by-
evening.
Or possibly. Okay. Commissioner Jordan, you had your hand up. Jim?
No, I apologize.
Oh, okay. Anything else? Yes, Commissioner Powell.
So as Mr. Crawford alluded to about the gaming, just so I know that, George, you said you were not sure about the gaming. So I guess just to clarify, because it says no indoor dining, congregating, or anything at the bar.
Right.
So like you said, Mayor, I have a hard time believing they're going to allow gaming because that's
Right.
Right. So I
anything it's possible because this is Springfield, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I'm looking at the tier 2 mitigations right now, and there's nothing in there that addresses the gaming situation. It just talks about no congregating or standing around or no indoor dining or anything. So I guess if establishments do have these gaming machines and it's not technically indoor dining, should they allow?
It might be a loophole.
That's what it sounds like.
Wow.
I think what we'd like to do is let's have a look at that, and we can address Mr. Crawford's question, and perhaps we'll even deal with that in the update.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle.
But
That's
we'll just stick with that.
Thank you, George. I appreciate that. That would be very helpful. And thank you, Mr. Crawford, by the way, for bringing that to our attention, because I hadn't heard that might have been a possible loophole. But all right. Oh, Mr. Crawford, you want to say? Go ahead. You can be unmuted.
So I just want to update you on, this is what I received this morning. I have Midwest Electronics. It says the Illinois Gaming Board has confirmed that gaming machines will be turned on regionally as different regions meet the metrics to return to tier 2 restrictions. On Friday, Illinois Department of Public Health officials will start giving evaluations and determine if a region has met the required metrics to change a tier level, according to the IGB. If that region has passed the metrics, that region will be able to resume video gaming operations.
Wow.
So that, I don't know, that, like I said, that they just said Friday, which we're it looks like our zone is going back to tier 2. So I guess that's the frustrating part, is we're allowed to have people in to play the video games, but can't serve them a cheeseburger. That's the frustrating part.
Mr. Boyle, want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like maybe with respect to being frustrating, it sounds like you really don't want to complain that you're allowed to have gambling, though. Is that correct?
No, not at all. But that's what I guess I'm saying.
Right.
is this really a safety issue anymore with people still being allowed to come inside?
Well,
Right.
Yes,
I think what we want to do is, like I
could be
say,
just-
we'll
it could be a
examine what was
loophole.
said. I have
Yeah.
no doubt that Mr. Crawford received that communication, and
Right.
legal will look into it.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford, for bringing that to our attention. We'll look into it and
welcome.
try to get you an answer. If you don't have an answer, well, obviously, well, at this point, we'll try to figure out what we can find out at our end. It sounds like it could be one of those things that is just a major loophole that nobody realized.
Yeah,
Anyway, thank you very much, Mr.
I don't know.
Crawford.
thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. At this point, anything else, Mr. Boyle?
Nothing further.
Okay, Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Jordan, either of you want to wave your hand if you something?
Yes, so where does that leave everybody as far as, are they going to permit video gaming or not?
Well, that's what we don't know. And Mr. Boyle will look into it and certainly get back to us, okay?
Okay, fair enough.
All right, at this point, is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Powell, is there a second?
Second,
Second by Commissioner Jordan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much. We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Who's the blonde lady in the middle?